I want to talk about something that we really need to take more seriously. I have spent years helping dogs with reactivity, fear, leash struggles, anxiety, and behaviors that people often label as aggression. And I've actually been very incredibly successful helping dogs, healing dogs and families, and reconnecting them and building trust, helping trust be rebuilt. But there's a truth that stays with me every single time. Most of the dogs that I work with didn't suddenly become a problem at 1 or 2 years old. Their struggles begin much earlier in puppyhood. When their needs are not understood, their emotional world is not supported the way they need it to be. If we truly understand what puppies need and support them through science, empathy, compassion, total welfare, looking at their needs, so much suffering for dogs and families could be prevented. Today's episode is called The Puppy's Truth because puppyhood isn't about training, it's about shaping the emotional foundation of a dog that it will carry for life. Puppyhood isn't just a cute phase. It's not a waiting room for real training. It's the most crucial and critical developmental period of a dog's life. During puppyhood, the brain is wiring itself to answer one core question over and over again. Is the world safe? When a puppy feels safe, their brain can learn. When a puppy feels supported, their confidence grows. And when their early needs are met, they carry that stability into adulthood. When those needs are missed, the nervous system learns survival instead of trust. This is where the legs model becomes so important. Legs stands for learning, environment, genetics, and self. It comes from applied ethology, the science of animal behavior, and it helps us to understand why dogs behave the way they do. Legs is not about blaming dogs or owners. It's about compassion, clarity, and direction. When we look at a puppy through their legs, we stop asking, how do I control this behavior? And start asking, what does this puppy need right now? Learning is not just training sessions, it's everything the puppy experiences, how they are handled, how people respond to their fear, what happens when they explore the world, what happens when they make mistakes, and whether their signals are respected or ignored. Every experience teaches the nervous system something about safety. A puppy who learns that their communication is heard develops trust. A puppy who learns that when their fear is ignored or punished learns that they need to protect themselves. So this directly affects the emotional and mental welfare of a puppy, of a dog for life. The environment is everything outside the dog, the noise, the visitors, children, other dogs, the schedules that are going on from one place to another. Maybe they're going in a car and they're going somewhere else, or everybody's coming and going, the chaos, the calm, when things are predictable. This is the environment. A puppy's brain is incredibly sensitive to environmental stress. So an overstimulating environment doesn't create a bad puppy. It creates a nervous system that is doing its very best to cope. Supporting the environment is supporting welfare. Sometimes behavior improves not because we trained harder, and often behavior improves not because we trained harder, but because we made life easier. Genetics are the blueprint for dogs. They shape how sensitive a puppy is, how they process stress, what instincts drive them, how quickly they react to uncertainty. You cannot train genetics out of dogs. but you can support the genetics. When the genetics are misunderstood or suppressed, dogs will struggle. And when genetics are honored and given appropriate outlets, dogs will thrive. Understanding genetics is one of the deepest forms of compassion that we can offer a puppy. When we talk about genetics in puppies, we're not talking about labels or breed stereotypes. We're talking about the biological expectations. The behaviors of puppy's nervous system is designed to practice as they grow. Puppies are born with these genetic drives that must be expressed. It's not optional. They are the result of generations of selective breeding for movement, problem solving, social interaction, cooperation, independence, chasing, retrieving, exploring. That's the critical part that's often missed. Puppies are meant to practice their genetics while they are young. Play is not just fun, it's rehearsal. Through play, they get to practice movement patterns that their baby bodies were designed for, whether it's hunting, or sniffing or searching, or waiting and watching and chasing. These are movement patterns that their bodies were designed for. They get to experiment with arousal, getting excited about something, and then recovering from it. Very important to practice these things. Learn how to start, stop, and regulate behavior. These are all games that they get to play when they're puppies that are very important. They build confidence for their own abilities and learning social rules, communication, and boundaries. These are all learned through play. When puppies are allowed to play in the ways that match their genetic needs, we help them their nervous system organize properly. We help put it in the right order, instead of just running and then keep running until they're even more worn out and confused or frustrated. Their nervous system gets to get organized. They can pay attention to something, but they don't have to. They learn they don't have to chase it. It's regulation and learning how to. Their brain helps them to organize that in their genetics. It needs to be helped with. Play is great, like chasing, tugging, wrestling, allow predatory motor patterns to be expressed safely. Sniffing, searching, foraging, those help them develop problem solving and emotional regulation. Rough and tumble play. They learn bite inhibition, consent, and communication. Movement-based play builds coordination, confidence, and resilience. When these needs are blocked, when they're not allowed to do this type of play and carry out these genetic needs as a puppy and to practice these things, when they're blocked or suppressed or ignored, the genetics don't disappear. They usually just come out later and they become labeled as behavior problems. That's why we see adolescent dogs that are suddenly reactive, young dogs that seem out of control, dogs that struggle with frustration, impulse control, or fear. It isn't that the dog has changed. It's their genetics that are never given the safe place to develop. Supporting genetics through appropriate play in puppyhood is prevention. It's one of the most powerful tools we have to protect emotional welfare and build the dog you want to live with later. The S is for self in legs, and this is the puppy's inner world. It includes health, pain, sleep, its development, its age, it's their sex, it's their hormones, it's individual temperament. Puppies are not emotionally steady creatures. Their brains and bodies are developing constantly. So all of this, their self includes in their total welfare. If they're overtired, if they're uncomfortable or overwhelmed, they can't regulate themselves. That's not defiance, it's biology. We have to support the self, and supporting the whole dog. This will support the whole dog. Just like children, even with bedtimes, we need to help to regulate and give them the patterns and the routines and build their confidence. It's the same with puppies. I wanted to share Hogan's story. Hogan's is one of the reasons I care so very deeply about prevention, because Hogan was taken to be euthanized for aggression. But Hogan came into the world with genetic needs that were not fully met or understood and supported. As a puppy, the environment was very stressful, unpredictable, and his experiences taught him that humans and the world were not safe. By around 9 months of age, Hogan had already learned that he had to protect himself. And what people called aggression was actually fear-based responses that when he felt unsure and overwhelmed. From the leg's perspective, his genetics made him sensitive. His environment made him feel very unsafe. His learning had taught him not to trust, and his self was under constant stress. Hogan wasn't bad. He wasn't trying to dominate. He was surviving. And the hardest truth is that Hogan's needs, if they had been supported earlier, if his puppy had been supported, so much of all that fear he went through could have been prevented. And the people that loved him, I know someone loved him, all the pain they went through would have been prevented. So the hopeful truth, with patience, understanding, and a total welfare approach, Hogan was able to heal and rebuild his trust. That's the power of understanding legs. When we support puppies through their legs, look at them through the legs lens, we're not just preventing behavior problems, we're building relationships. A puppy who feels safe grows into a dog who trusts. A dog who trusts doesn't need to use fear to communicate. And a dog who feels understood chooses connection. Love and trust are not built through commands. They are built through emotional safety. Most people come to me when their dogs are between 1 to 3 years old. That's when the coping strategies developed in puppyhood either hold on or fall apart. So every time I wish I could go back and support these dogs earlier. This is why early support matters, not to create perfect puppies, but to prevent unnecessary suffering. If you're raising a puppy right now, please hear this. You don't need to wait until things feel hard. You don't need to wait for behaviors to escalate. If you want to create a confident, emotionally safe future for your puppy, supporting your puppy's learning environment, genetics, and self right now can change the whole trajectory of their life. And I would love to support you. Book a call with me, subscribe to this channel. Let's change the story for dogs, starting at the very beginning. Thank you so much for watching. Please reach out. Please share any dog puppy stories, what you've learned, what you wish you could do differently, what you would do differently if you get another chance. It's Jody Fitzgerald here, licensed family dog mediator with Fitz Your Dog. And I thank you very much for watching. And give your dog some love and understanding and patience today. Have a great day.